How you guys doing today? It's Dr. G show. It's Tuesday. We switched back to the camera that's on the computer, and it's a little grainy. So it's not us. Like, we've been using these new beauty products, and I thought, well, maybe they were making us look grainy. Turns out it's the camera.
Oh,
so
I thought it was the cornmeal.
And so as you guys join the show, feel free to comment, ask questions. I'll repeat that too again as we go through. But I'm really glad that you guys are joining this program, and some of you guys are watching this days later. You going through menopause?
It's menopause.
Menopause.
It's a thing.
So so as you guys watch this later too, feel free to post questions because we'll go through and answer those. And you went through a couple weeks ago. Did you go through? You were answering questions too. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So,
we were talking about what is mindfulness, what's wise mind, a little bit about how that had to do with eating.
Right.
And then we meandered a little bit, and we had a good time. I think the audience was still informed.
Yeah.
And definitely entertained.
Yeah.
And so now we're back with more on mindful eating, but we're going to be mindful to mostly, I think, stay on that track. We'll see how we do, right?
No, we'll go off track.
Okay.
That's part of
That's just part of the deal.
But I love patients. Sometimes will say like, "Can I ask a question off the topic?" I'm like, I never go off topic.
Yeah, he never does.
All right. So last week we talked to Suzanne, and that was pretty good. She had a great testimonial about her kind of whole life, where she was coming from, and so I love those kind of things where people come from. They look like they're functioning, but they're really kind of falling apart, and they just kind of get used to it, and that just becomes their water, or they're just normal, that's abnormal.
Oh, right.
And then when they make those kind of lifestyle changes, suddenly they're just like, I feel normal, I feel energetic, I don't have a headache every day, I just feel great. Healthy, happy, and hormonally balanced is what the goal is all the time. And I think a lot of people just get to the point where they just feel like crap all the time, and that just becomes...
That's the baseline. Yeah.
That's America.
Mm.
So 2 weeks ago we had you on, and so we kind of had a little fun with mindfulness and meditation. And we talked a lot about the mindful kind of purposefulness, and even like with trauma, how that's so therapeutic. And I want to tell you, I did. I had court yesterday. Gang related. No, that's not right.
Kind of like
divorce related.
It's pretty close.
And usually it's a crazy nightmare. And usually it's just like, oh, what's going to happen this time, kind of thing. But I got to tell you, they went to the, it's very calm. They went to the judge's chambers, and they spent most of their time there. And so I was just like, kind of just like heartbeat. And so I sat there, I put my palms up, and I did deep breathing. I closed my eyes and just like breathing in. I was listening to the ceiling fan, and I was just kind of just concentrating on that. Nice. And my heart rate went down, and my stress went down. And so I was in the same situation, but I actually felt great.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. And so I also was like, X was over there watching, and so I was just like, ain't nobody gonna break me down. Ain't nobody gonna break my stride.
That's right,
no.
Gotta keep on moving.
All right. So that was, again, application of mindfulness, right? Meditation.
Yeah.
So I love that. I really do. And before, I preached it all the time, but really didn't do a whole lot of it. So we talked about that stuff. And so really what we want to kind of focus on this time is really kind of mindful eating. And with that, being really very purposeful in why we eat, what we eat, when we eat, and I think most importantly, kind of really dispelling kind of myths and gimmicks and bullcrap that kind of keeps people yo-yo dieting and really dieting instead of lifestyling and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And you dug through research and everything, right?
Yeah.
All right. So
gonna nerd it up.
Hells yeah, nerdone, right?
That's right.
So as you know, I'm Dr. Garrett, and I have a functional medicine practice, see patients all the way around the world, which is pretty crazy for just a simple thing that I do. But we've reversed fatal genetic disorders. But most things, it's just people, their lifestyles are all just crazy, and life sucks, and then we just say, oh, do this and you'll get better, and people just get better. All these things that nobody can get better, they get better.
Yeah. Amazing.
And then the part that I don't do is the psych stuff, really, and that's the stuff you do with patients, right?
Right.
And so tell us a little bit about kind of what you do.
Yeah. Snapshot again. Background is I'm a licensed professional counselor and a licensed addictions counselor here in the state of Kansas. I have a couple of jobs at the moment. One job is full-time working at Wichita Comprehensive Treatment Center, where I work with a really great team of folks that we provide therapy and medically assisted treatment to folks getting off of opioids and opiates.
It's a pretty big problem these days,
It's the huge drug problem in America right now, and it's a pretty remarkable place to work, pretty remarkable patients to work with, very challenging, and but we're implementing mindfulness practices there.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, that's huge, huge.
The ones that take it up, they really love it.
So is that considered the didactic?
You're thinking about the dialectical behavior therapy.
All right.
Right? And that's what I think we probably ought to postpone that for like maybe another visit.
Yeah.
Because it gets pretty involved. But the core skill in DBT for short is mindfulness.
Okay. Okay.
And so we're also doing a lot of just generally mindfulness-oriented, mindfulness-based cognitive behavioral therapy or just treatment.
Are they doing a lot of that with any kind of like therapy these days, like in Wichita? Or?
I think there are more practitioners in Wichita. My other job is at House of Clarity as a therapist there, and there's several therapists there who are using mindfulness-informed approaches.
Nice.
And it's definitely something that's caught on more because there's just a ton of scientific literature pouring out about its effectiveness with all kinds of disorders. Yeah.
It's not that hokey kind of like, oh, it's helpful, but it's not grounded or evidence-based. It's really evidence-based.
Right. In fact,
which I love.
In a lot of ways, it's becoming the gold standard treatment approach for a lot of problems, even life-threatening problems, addictions, borderline personality disorder, suicidality.
Yeah.
So, it's not a panacea because it has to be kind of crafted certain ways in an intelligent fashion. And then to get some of those researchers in there to find out if what we're doing is working or not. And we keep following the science. And so far, it's really panning out well for mindfulness and related practices. So it's really cool.
Now, as you guys, as we talk and stuff, feel free to post questions or comments, and then we'll try to, you'll see me kind of reading those. But feel free to post those, and then please share this with your friends and family too, and I appreciate you guys being here. So let's talk about mindfulness, mindful eating.
Okay, yeah. Should we start with just a real quick context? So we'll start with mindfulness per se. The way we're practicing it, the way that we practice it in our Wise Mind and the Good Life group,
right,
is we're looking at cultivating a moment-to-moment awareness with a non-judgmental and curious openness to our experiences, whether they're adverse or positive and joyful. So whether we're going through a divorce, or we're at a divorce hearing, or we're sitting down to delightful Angelo's Pizza. Gina, if you're watching this.
Yeah, Gina. Hey.
Sponsorship?
That's right. Free pizza, right? Gluten-free pizza. I feel
was that just shameless? Speaking of mindful eating, and so it's about being intentional. There's a quality of mindfulness by being intentional, deliberate, also becoming aware of our own habits of thought and the way we think about things like food and hunger and our emotions, the way we experience our emotions. And in terms of like kind of bridging it in with the food stuff, how do we relate to our food, and how we're actually, frankly, most of us are eating mindlessly. We're just jamming stuff into our food hole. We don't taste it. Yeah, buffets, for example. I was talking about this with some patients today. They're talking about how, people look down on us because I'm a heroin addict. But they're over there at the super buffet place, just jamming food in their mouth. They're 300 pounds. They're not tasting their food, and they're getting their money's worth. And they know they get their money's worth because they're stuffed, they're bloated, and it's kind of sickening, really. We as a culture in the whole, I think we're disordered around food for sure.
Yeah,
I know I have been. Probably am still a little bit working on it, but yeah.
Well, you think of like people have dysfunctional relationships, and that's why they use a bit of therapy. But I think a lot of the reasons people come to me me is because they have dysfunctional relationships with food.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And so we use food for emotions. We use food for suppressing anxiety and depression, coping, which is terrible because there's not much difference between coping with food and coping with drugs, because dairy and wheat is morphine, so casomorphin, glutenomorphin, which is why they're comfort, right? And they're like, it's like free basin cheese. Got my cheese on. And same thing with sugar. Sugar is more addicting than crack cocaine, which is why I switched to crack. So then,
you got to get off that sugar.
Plus, if you get off the sugar, you lose weight. If you get on crack, you lose weight. It's like a win-win, right?
Get your house cleaned. Taxes are filed.
You're gonna get fired. All right.
He's thinking about me. I'm probably gonna get you at work tomorrow.
That's right. So and one of the things I really liked that you said was the awareness. And that, I think most people really aren't aware of how much food has changed. Right. So it's that constant thing, well, my parents ate wheat, my grandparents ate wheat, why didn't they have these problems? Why is everybody gluten-free? Well, the wheat that we eat today is not the wheat that they ate before. And even genetically, it's not the wheat that Jesus ate back in the old days.
I had the same question when I started hearing about all this rise of like gluten allergies and celiac disease and all these things. I'll confess, I thought, what's wrong with everybody all of a sudden? We've been eating bread for centuries. I had no idea about genetic modification of food, the way we raise wheat and all that kind of thing. So now it makes sense. And I myself have really cut back on breads and carbohydrates and find myself being less stiff and achy and feeling just generally better.
Right, and it's weird. Is that like such a strong connection of like, I feel sad, so I eat a bunch of bread, and then my joints hurt, which makes me feel sad, so I eat more bread, and then eventually you're falling apart, and you end up on antidepressants and stuff. But what's interesting is I was giving a lecture one time, and one of the girls that was there was from Pakistan. And so she came up and she was talking to me about stuff, and I was just like, well, coming from Pakistan, you guys probably do pretty good with eating grain there, right? Eating bread there. And she said, forever they never had gut problems, never had autoimmune problems really to speak of. And then suddenly they started importing modified wheat from America.
Oh, man.
And then everybody starts having these irritable bowel, Crohn's, ulcerative colitis, eczema, psoriasis, just chronic inflammatory problems. And they don't know how to deal with it because it wasn't a thing. Right. Just like, years ago, we didn't have prostate doctors and we didn't have breast cancer or doctors, or, we didn't have these very specific, unique things because there was not enough people that had those problems to have that specialty. Yeah. And now, it's everybody. Yeah. But it's funny because in other countries you don't necessarily see that they have the same disease that we do, but when they eat or change their food the way we do, they get the same thing. It's the same problems, right? Same physiology. Wow. So that awareness becomes very big because the two things that prevent people from getting well is ignorance and complacency. They either don't know or they just don't care. Like they're just like, I don't give a crap. I'm just gonna eat whatever I want. And that's fine as long as you're willing to accept the consequences. You can do whatever the hell you want. But for those people that are like, I don't want to be tired, I don't want to be sick, I don't want to have brain fog, I don't want to have to change what I do after I eat, then they have the ability to say, okay, I don't want to be complacent anymore or ignorant anymore. Tell me why I'm feeling bad. So that awareness begins at empowerment. Yeah. But really, like, I think that's one thing I had to work with patients the most on is knowledge is not power. Action on that knowledge is power. So it's not, so awareness is a big part of it. Yeah. But it's the purposeful, intentional, all the other deliberate stuff that you said that becomes the actual part of taking that awareness and making lifestyle changes so that you can feel better. And this year, and some of you guys know this, but this year, radically changed my diet.
You've really been working hard on it.
Yeah. And now I have all these clothes that I can wear, and I can look down and see my belt buckle, and like all these little things.
Your pants don't hurt like they used to, right?
No,
I used to have hurting pants syndrome.
Right.
That's no good.
No. And so it's freaking awesome, and people notice it. So it's like it's very noticeable when people are like, I haven't seen you in a while. Like even a couple weeks, they'll be like, oh my God, like what the hell's going on
what
here?
Are you doing?
Right. So the only difference is is I was aware of all this shit. I've told my patients this for 15 years. You know, I help people, the worst case patients all get better, and I knew it, but I didn't apply it in my own life. And that's what, after the mindful classes, then I really said, I want to be, I think, more, and I don't think I was very deliberate about knowing that part, but I want to be very mindful of what I was eating and very deliberate.
Yeah.
And I always felt bad because, you know, I have 4 daughters, and so you're modeling for them. And so then it's like, Dad's eating healthy, but they really know that Dad's eating crap sometimes. And, you know, and most patients, you know, I'm sitting there and I had a little pot belly and stuff. And
like, I wonder what's up with that.
They know.
There's a health pocket.
Yeah.
Health pocket?
Yeah.
Reserve energy.
Reserve energy.
Yeah.
It's my Americana.
Yeah, right. Reserve fuel for later. It's for the marathon.
Yeah. So, you know, that became very powerful this last year of really becoming that living testimonial, just like my patients do for other people.
Yeah, right.
So I like this thing here I found. Whoop, there it is. But it's still kind of like really acknowledging, like, why do I eat that way? When do I eat? What do I eat? How do I eat? And those are those questions of like we're so entranced with like, this is what Americans have to eat. Like, there's dinner food, there's breakfast food, there's lunch food.
I know it's a thing for you. I mean, if it's not eggs, man, it's not breakfast food, right? Or cereal or oatmeal. Yeah. Like if I ate a liver for breakfast, that can't be breakfast.
That's blasphemous. You can't do that. That's crazy talk.
Well, if you eat liver, maybe you don't. That's a weird example. But yeah.
But no, that's a great example because people eat liver and onions, but would they eat it for breakfast? It's breakfast food if you eat it for breakfast because you're a goddamn adult. You can do whatever the hell you want.
Yeah.
You do, you know, and that's the thing is, if I want to eat a cucumber for lunch with a carrot, that's a meal. You know, if I was out in the woods, that's what I would eat.
Right, you know? Right, yeah.
I'd be like, hey, there's a cucumber. I'm eating a cucumber for lunch, and then later I'll find some berries, and you know. But when we have these really ingrained concepts and all these books and all these gimmicks and all these things that tell us really what's food, what's not food, how we should eat, and yet we're the sickest, baddest, dumbest country on earth. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So because we're mindless. We're really driven by our emotions, and like you said, food is you know, used in an addictive fashion, same way that drugs or alcohol or cigarettes, gambling, pornography, you name it, gambling. You know, it's really very similar thing for a lot of folks.
Yeah.
And we have some serious ideas about. Sorry, back up. We do have ideas about. I think plenitude sort of being a birthright, and so again, if we're full, we're stuffed, not satiated, not waiting for the brain to register with the stomach, right? Oh, okay, that's enough. You know, and eating those smaller portions, maybe more frequently throughout the day, and then eating more balanced choices of food and those sort of things. You know, we are infected with the values of our culture from the moment we're born. So it may be a whole lifetime before we wake up and go, oh my gosh, what have I been doing? Here's your awareness. And now you were talking about taking action. And this is another part of mindfulness that's so important, because mindfulness is not an intellectual process. It's not a data analysis. It's an awareness of experience and how do I relate again with these sort of, and also relating to my emotions and thoughts and stress and these sort of things, and my responses to that and the ideas that I'm attached to. For instance, I'm lonely, and it doesn't necessarily work out in awareness this way. Buddy. Yeah, I won't have to eat that full pizza by myself later. It's always so romantic here with you. That's why I've come.
We don't have mood lighting this time.
I know, you're still handsome in the full light. But we, you know, when we just develop these habits as we do with other substances and behaviors. We're lonely, and so we dislike that state. So rather than listening to that and saying, you know, what is it that loneliness tells me? How can loneliness be, you know, even transformed into an enriching solitude? Yeah. You know, where I can grow intellectually, spiritually, into leaning into it thing. Right.
It's okay.
And it's a practice we can lean into. It's okay. It's okay that we hurt sometimes.
Really?
It's okay that we feel a little discomfort. Yeah. We can handle that.
Yeah, that's when
we don't have to put a whole pizza on top of that.
So yeah, because Americans, that's one of the things is that idea that we shouldn't suffer. And that's what we don't. We want to live a lifestyle that's not consistent with life longevity, but we don't want to feel any consequences of it.
Right.
And so it's behavior, relationship, food. We want to live this kind of like, I do what I want, and I feel like we're on an island. We get to control everything, and then we have all these dysfunctions around us. And then, well, why should I suffer? Why should I be unhappy? And we feel entitled that we shouldn't, but it's a good part.
Yeah.
Like you lean into it. Like, well, there's a reason that I'm feel lonely. Why? How could I recover from that? How could I change things?
And there's a way in paying attention to all of that. We're really getting in touch with, like, fuller aspects of our humanity, our humanness on the whole. So again, it's okay to feel those things because from a mindfulness point of view, my experience of loneliness, for example, has a potential of perhaps making me maybe promoting action to connect with people in a meaningful and healthy way, or if I'm not able to do that, or maybe if I am mindfully choosing, no, I maybe need to be alone for the moment, kind of experience the solitude, then I know what that feels like, so that when I encounter other human beings who express loneliness, I have a compassion, because I know what that's like. So it's a way of it has a way of tenderizing the heart, and keeping us, I think, kind of nice and fleshy, so we can connect with each other.
We had a mindful class on that about authenticity. Of being okay with it, and then you can really speak to others that are going through the same thing. With more character, more strength, more like. More. I mean, you can just be real with them, and you've been through the same mud, same blood, but you're okay with it. Like. And I like the idea of, like, I mean, even like loneliness part. Like, that was one of those things, like, I'm a people pleaser, and I like acts of love are my love language, But the idea of, like, at home, really creating a routine where even if I'm alone, I'm very purposeful, I have my routine, and I'm happy. Whereas before it was just like, I need to be with other people to have the happiness.
Oh, right.
But to really just kind of like have those times, because there's times when you're alone, there's times when you're with people, and you need to figure out how to be happy with both places. Where most people would just be like, well, I'm lonely, so I'm going to eat and watch TV. But
and to really, I think I throw a challenge out there. It's something I'm of course constantly working on, and those who know me well know I'm a super fallible and imperfect practitioner of mindfulness.
What?
Shocking, isn't it? But also just being okay with what is. I mean, just being present with what is. I'm not necessarily happy. I'm not sad. I'm in a room. I'm here on live feed Facebook thing with Patrick, which does make me really happy, by the way. It's exciting. But I don't have to manufacture particular emotional states, which is kind of where we're at. I mean, that's, in other words, we want to, like, if I have the idea, overall, what we call happiness / joy / meaning. Okay, I think it's great. We can get that through practicing mindfulness, cultivating wisdom, that kind of stuff that we talked about last time we met up. But, we don't have to be excited constantly. We don't have to hold on to our sadness. We also don't have to be angry and disappointed at the fact that we don't feel happy with another human being, whether that's a significant other or friendships or, ourselves. It's just, let's practice just noticing what's happening without adding all the editorial, all the exaggeration.
How do you feel like? Do you feel like those kind of like Dr. Phil and those kind of talk shows and like most self-help books? Do you think they help or hurt more? Like, they always have this sense of like, you're great and you're a badass and you're the best and everybody should love you. And the reality is, you're a good person, you're a bad person. Sometimes you piss off people, and that's okay. Like, you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I'll say on the whole, I don't know how to quantify that.
I want to know.
Just armchairing it.
Yeah.
I would just shooting from the hip. I'd say there's one way in which it's really great because it's brought a lot of psychological, emotional topics out in the public view and discussion. That's great. There's sort of an awareness that can come out of that. I think on the other hand, I think there's some harm done because it does tend to move. It tends to kind of stick with our cultural desire for the prosperity, happiness, wellness, because I'm just, magically deserving of that, and that should just happen to me, again, regardless of how I actually live from one moment to the next.
Yeah, I deserve to be happy even if I treat people like crap.
Right.
Or I'm not self-aware.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, if you guys have questions, feel free to ask. We should ask like an intentional, like, what is your comfort?
Oh God, I did it again.
I know why everybody does this. I don't know why there's a board there. Like, it's ridiculous.
Okay, well, we don't know why.
So, kind of like, okay, so everybody has these kind of like times where they're kind of sad or down or frustrated, and there's that one thing that brings you the joy or happiness. And usually it's either food or distraction. So a lot of times like when I used to be for years, and I haven't played video games forever, but for a long time, like that was my escape. Was I played some Grand Theft Auto, steal a car, shoot a bunch of people, drive through. Like I wouldn't do the right part of the game, but I just wanted to like get some energy out, And so crashing cars and shooting people and stealing more cars. And for me, that was like, oh, I'm getting my stress out, I'm getting that angst out. But really, it wasn't.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just tense the whole time when I was playing.
Yeah.
But it was distraction. It was just like, I don't like this here, but I'm going to distract here. And then I felt like it would work, but it really did not work.
Yeah.
And then, eating for comfort, that kind of thing. So what is that thing, if you will, that you typically do to satiate frustration or that sense of
boredom,
loneliness,
or just such a practice impulsivity. I'm watching TV and I've got a bag of something and I'm just munching away, because that's what we do. I like to do it too. I like to make a sandwich and go sit down and watch Star Trek or something. But if we're not paying attention, then we maybe have like.
Who's your favorite guy? Like Darth Vader or Han Solo?
Oh, Star Trek? Yeah, I like Darth Vader Picard. It's Darth Picard.
Is that the next generation?
It is. Yeah. It's the Sith generation.
Hey, I see Jerry's on here. Hi, Jerry. Carmen. I went to school with Carmen.
I saw that Tracy Oldman was on here.
Tracy's on here?
Yeah.
Tracy didn't even say hello.
He didn't say hi, Spatten.
Everybody's being quiet.
They're very quiet.
Why?
I don't know. Well,
why are they quiet?
Maybe let me try to offer this up there. I think maybe your question. I think what you're getting at is kind of wondering, like our viewing audience, if they have something from their experience that they might want to share.
Yeah. In
terms of their relationship to food, as I shared a couple weeks ago, I had a habit for a while where kind of a downtime for me. I have a dark chapter in my life, and I wasn't thinking about it. But I would, come home after work, and I'm a counselor, and I'm practicing mindfulness, but I'd be watching TV and just kind of let myself wallow in sort of being dissipated in sadness and boredom, and not even really terribly aware of that. I'm just passing time with some television, seeing a TV commercial for the pizza ad, and then remember, dialing it up. I dial in a couple of pizzas, and by the end of the night, I've eaten 1.5 or both. I've eaten both medium pizzas. They're gone, all in the body.
I've done that back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what changed that for me was returning to a practice of mindfulness, because noticing, of course, again, one of the signals that said this is going to be a problem was there was some extra tissue developing in my body. The extra energy was storing itself.
You become extra American.
I was becoming extra American. The padding was coming in. So I noticed that, and so going back to mindfulness in terms of like being aware of like how I eat food, the kind of food I pick. In fact, picking up the habit of cooking more. And so like now, my favorite, even last night, I got home kind of late from a group that I do for another clinic here in town. And I just went in, I chopped up a little purple potato. I threw in some olive oil. I threw in some fresh garlic with that. Sort of just simmered that up, put a little bit of, various spices in with it. Pardon me. Yeah, in the meantime, I happened to have, I can't remember what it was. Some kind of barley. I thought I would try that out. So I don't know if that's a safe deal or not. But anyway, the potatoes, the garlic, and all that. Plus, I had some leftovers from the house concert Saturday,
which was awesome.
Which was the coconut milk drenched peaches with the fresh ginger in it,
There's ginger.
And it kind of congealed and it became really tasty. So then after I got that sauteed, I just put that on top of it. Then I poured it in a bowl, and then just kind of had that for, it was a nice small portion, but it was all very healthy. A lot of the stuff in there was even anti-inflammatory.
Yeah.
And it took me probably 20 minutes. Now, that's the thing is, like, 10 years ago, been like 20 minutes. Who's got 20 minutes?
Right.
You know, but I have 20 minutes. And so you enjoy the food more. You're more connected, I think, with the food you're eating. When you cook with others, then it gets you connected with the folks you're sharing. Like at the house concert, we did, you know, there some folks brought salads that they've made. I did a little bit of cooking, and it's a way of kind of sharing communally in this food, and so it's a way to really kind of even enhance relationships in a positive way.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah, it was really, most of it was pretty healthy stuff.
Yeah, I ate all your mussels.
I know, I got like literally one.
I waited, but they were so good.
Hey, you know what? You snooze, you lose, was what I say. You deserve those mussels. I saw you and the others picking them right out of the pan, right out of the butter.
Like 20 years ago, I went to a French restaurant with Julie Hunter for prom, and I had mussels then, and they were okay. And since I've never had those, and yours was way better than that French restaurant.
Oh.
It was amazing. So I was just like, well, I hope nobody's eating it.
Nobody is, so I'm eating them.
Like, it was
yeah, good. I'm glad. I actually had a little pregame here. I'm like, these are not going to be no good. Okay.
Well, and that's one of my notes on here, too, that I was going through. And one of the things about mindful eating was mindful cooking and creating a mindful cooking environment.
Yeah.
To where it's not this like, oh, I gotta do this.
Right.
But really enjoying, and that's what like, okay, so I didn't really know about that. But if you notice all my pictures that I post, I make my gimlet martini.
That's right. Yeah.
I pick a record, I play my record, and it's right there on the kitchen counter. And then I just kind of like 1960s it and, you know, make my food. I take pictures and post them on Facebook.
Yeah, that's the fun part.
But I like, so that's cool because it's like, oh, that's what I do. I create like that positive cooking environment. Like I have my little thing that I do. Yeah. And I really enjoy it.
It's fun.
I enjoy it.
And it's for me, it's become an act of creativity.
Right. But it wasn't, so that's the thing, is it wasn't always that way, right?
No,
it was a chore.
Right.
It was a burden.
Like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. I mean, how many spaghetti dishes can you make? You know, eventually you can move past that.
But you're amazing. He's an amazing cook.
Thanks, man.
Amazing.
I'm growing.
Yeah. If you ever have food at a party, just invite Scott over and be like, hey, if you want to make something, whatever, you know, just, yeah, if you want to bring something, it's cool.
Turn me loose in your kitchen.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's fun.
So I guess one of the other questions, too, as you guys come on here and look at it is, what have you done? Like, do you do mindful cooking? Is there a point where you do like very intentional type of cooking or food prep? Have you done anything to kind of change to where it went from burden to you really enjoy it? So like used to, and then I wasn't very purposeful before, but we buy like a French cookbook or we buy an Italian cookbook or a Moroccan cookbook. Yeah. And so that's kind of like intentional, kind of like I like shake things up, try new spices and herbs.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, yeah.
But it still wasn't as enjoyable as what I do now. Like I'm just in a different, completely different mindset.
Sure. I think that's a big part of it. For me, I think it was sort of a slow grow into cooking, learning more about sort of just flavor palettes, you know, because there was times where I mixed some things together. It's like, that was not a good idea.
Yeah, I've done that.
I don't have TV now, but I did have it for a while. I watched a lot of Food Network.
Yeah.
That helped. I've noticed people who are pretty good cooks cook with them or watch what they did. And you know, now really, kind of on the whole, I mean, I kind of hover within what I consider a very Mediterranean influence style. Yeah. Lots of olive oil, you know, a lot of those kind of herbs, garlic, vegetables. Occasionally pasta, but I've really cut way back on pasta. I mean, I still let myself eat it or some pizza, but it's just
not. You can do brown rice pasta.
And you can do brown and black rice. I made black rice recently based on your recommendations. Good stuff.
Racist.
Okay, here we go. So in that sense, yeah, becoming and then with the enjoyment that
wait. Where'd you get black rice pasta?
No, just black rice.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. I got black rice at Sprouts. Then bulk. They have it in bulk.
Yeah. Good price?
I think so. I don't remember what it was, but I still like to go check out the Asian market because I hear they have best prices in town.
Yeah, and red rice and purple rice.
Yeah, no, I haven't tried this.
Forbidden rice?
Never. Whoa.
It's forbidden.
I won't sleep tonight until I have forbidden rice.
It's forbidden.
Forbidden. Must have it. So I think there's a reinforcement that happens. I think when you allow yourself then that time to do that, to relate with the food, I think this is where, again, we're kind of hovering back toward things I think that are essentially and fundamentally human.
Right.
We're connected with food as nourishment, but there's also the artistry part of like mixing the flavors, and then even the way we plate food.
Yeah.
To make it attractive and beautiful. And the things that are healthy for us are attractive. The purple things, the red things, the green things.
So
yeah. The big rainbow of love.
I used to get shit for this, but
okay.
Like anytime, and I still do this, anytime I would get like to-go food or something like that, we'd order food and then bring it home, or like, people would like fix a pot of something and then they put the pot on the table. Yeah. Like I always have dishes that I take everything out, put them in very nice dishes, have serving utensils, put it on the table, sit at the table. And so, like, I just like that. I grew up pretty poor, and so it was always this kind of like, you put a heat, and there's nothing wrong with this, but it just seemed ghetto to me sometimes. And like I really wanted like that nicer kind of thing, like food's important, I like the presentation. And so I really tried through the years, and so that way my kids would be like, they know, I don't know if they know I make an effort, but it's just, like I don't mind the extra dishes and stuff. I like it nice. Like it's purposeful and meaningful. Because food's relationships, food's memories. We all have those kind of things of like, oh, I remember grandma cooking in the kitchen and what she did and helping her out.
Well, and all that, all the psych nerds that research, good, strong family dynamics, families that dine together at the table at least a few times a week, they just tend to have better relationship with their kids.
And they do better academically, too.
All that kind of stuff, So, definitely a correlation there.
Yeah.
And so it's a good idea, and it's just enjoyable, and it helps us all to slow down a little bit. Cook, preparation for cooking itself, plating, putting things out. This is a nice way to just kind of slow down to more human pace, and we'll be less stressed. We'll digest our food better. Also, I'm sure I'm not a medical doctor. That's what you're here for. But it's just, again, there's a more with mindfulness. When we're mindfully eating, not only all of that, I think there's a sort of an awareness of the fact that this food was grown by another human being. I'm eating vegetables.
Yeah.
It doesn't literally come from my local market. It didn't grow there. It was cultivated by somebody, grown, and then it was shipped by somebody, the trucker who got it, to my local market, and the folks that put it out in the stands. I mean, these food items connect all of us, and it's sort of a way of being aware of like how we're really still connected to everybody on the planet, really.
Yeah.
And being interrelated, So we're. I think there's a way in which we can be more aware of our shared humanity and our family as human beings.
So I have a list of some things here that I was looking at, and it's just a chart that I downloaded. But I
like that chart.
Some of the things really, I thought, they're really captivating me. But the first thing it says, sit at the table, right? And that's one thing.
Sit at the table, people. Yeah.
I always try to do is sit at the table. Now I gotta say, when I'm by myself, I don't.
Yeah.
I usually sit and kind of. I'm not home a lot, but yeah. But yeah, I need to work on that.
Okay.
So on these things, if you guys will post, nobody's posting anything. You guys are quiet.
Because we're so astonishing.
What's going on?
I don't know.
So nobody wants to talk about this stuff, right?
Maybe, I don't know.
So
I wonder if anybody here, if they eat at the table at home with their spouse or roommates or with your children, what's that experience like for you? Or maybe it's something you want to try and you just having trouble kind of getting over that hump of effort to get there.
Well, we had a crazy family growing up, but we did sit at the table most of the time, and that really meant a lot to me, But as I go through this list, if there's any of these things that like kind of trigger you, or you want to kind of tell us about that you do this, or something you need to work on, let us know. So sitting at the table when I'm not with my daughters is a big one for me.
Mm-hmm.
It said, don't eat while you watch TV. That's a pretty big thing that changed, I think, in the 60s, that people started actually just sitting in front of TVs.
That's something that was, well, still is actually really ingrained in my mind. Like sometimes I just crave, like, let's make food, let's make nachos, and let's sit down and have like a Lord of the Rings marathon.
Yeah.
And let's eat while we're doing it.
Yeah.
And now, of course, with the movie theaters, hopefully we can get a hamburger. Or
oh, that's right. Now with the Warren,
yeah. So food's a big part of that. Oh my gosh, I did it again.
Put the fork down between bites.
Oh.
And so that's one thing is I always have like French like a knife, and then you have the fork, and you just kind of cut and kind of work your food and eat it.
Yeah.
But yeah, putting down your fork. I don't do that all the time. But I do notice that
I think I will have to experiment with that.
I notice when we all go eat at Beautiful Day Cafe, people do. Because we're all kind of conversating.
We're having a conversation. Yeah, that's such a good place to eat. Beautiful Day Cafe.
And then savor your food, like really experience it.
Yeah, right.
I think you have to have flavor if you do that. Like you really got to use some spices to really enjoy it. Yeah.
Sure.
Most people just eat sugar. Yeah. Ignore health claims. That's probably the biggest thing.
Ignore the health claims, huh? Okay.
Yeah.
Tell us more about that. What does that mean?
So it says, fat-free, low cholesterol, and stuff, blah, blah, bullshit.
That's what it says. It does.
Have they been listening to me?
Did you write this?
So, there's End of Overeating by Dr. Kessler. That's a really great book that really talks about what we did to food to change it to cause brain addiction.
Oh, yeah.
So the End of Overeating, that's a really great one. Like it changes the psyche by which we think about food, how we interact with food, and even to the point where food makes us feel horrible and we just desire it more.
Okay.
And so the other book that came from that too, which talks about what Kessler did, was Sugar, Salt, Fat. And really, if you take sugar, salt, fat, and then put MSG in the middle, this is how you create brain addiction. And so if it's low sugar, it's high fat, high salt. If it's low salt, it's high fat, high sugar. If it's low sugar, it's high fat, high salt.
Wow.
And then when in doubt, throw MSG in there. And since about 1990, they've really gotten just very strategic about how to manipulate those things.
Wow.
So if you go to a restaurant and you get low fat, it's usually just as horrible, but in different ways.
Because they're going to jack up the salt in it, maybe, or okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So all those health claims, never eat food that has a health claim. If it's low fat, cholesterol free, no, you don't want any of that stuff.
Eat claimless food.
Is
that what you mean?
Right.
Claimless food.
I like this. Whoever wrote this has my type of sassitude. Slow the hell down.
Slow down, people.
And yeah, I noticed like before you're just like, my time's important, I gotta get done with this, and you're just like eating like crazy.
The busier you are, the more important you are. And people notice that and they respect you for that. And they're ready to do the Heimlich for you when you're choking.
That's right. So there was a study that 90% of Americans eat alone, and 90% of Europeans eat with groups of people.
Wow.
And so, it's very like, it's a huge difference. Emotionally, hormonally, it's actually a big difference.
Yeah.
Focus on the taste of the food. Chew more. Summer tomato. Oh, that's just something else. Eat with your non-dominant hand.
That's the website. Summertomato.com.
Oh, okay. Eat with your non-dominant hand. I think that's a little bit silly, but it just slows you down. Makes it
a little bit more challenge.
Don't eat straight from the package. So that's what I do. So if I get Chinese food or takeout or something, I always put it on plates and make it a real meal. So on those, there's a few things that even I like.
Yeah.
I gotta get a little bit more purposeful about, even though I've been doing like crazy good.
Yeah, we can always work on it a little bit.
What about with you on that?
Well, I gotta say, like for instance, last night. And this is not all the time, but I, when I made up my potatoes and my garlic and all that good stuff, and put those peaches and coconut milk together, I sat at the table.
You did.
I said, it's right there. For me, the way it's set up, you saw my setup. So, just sit at the table and eat that, have a glass of water with it. And, that was good. Now, I can't say I do that every night. There's probably been some times where I eat standing at the counter after I cook.
Yeah.
And I was kind of off cooking it seemed like I'd been kind of off for a bit. And I think I was eating out a lot more. Yeah. I like to think I eat out at decent places. I will occasion a taco joint once in a while. But places like Beautiful Day Cafe, love the food. College Hill Deli, they've got some pretty good fresh stuff up there. the Anchor, and other local places that are really good. For those of you not in Wichita, you really miss out on some really good food around here. Alton Brown from Food Network ranks as, I think, top 3 or top 5 favorite cities in the U.S. in which he likes to eat.
Really?
Thank you, Alton Brown.
Yeah.
Wichita, thanks you.
I like those food trucks.
And on behalf of Wichita,
downtown.
I thank you.
They
Are they good?
They got some good food trucks. Yeah.
No, but I do like the process of, I know that when I do the prep and the cooking, and then in particular if I'm just cooking for myself, if I keep the portions like for me, then it doesn't take as long that I have all these leftovers. I did cook enough last night that I had some leftovers I could take with me to work today.
Yeah.
Nice. And I think the thing I need to work at with my work eating habits is not eating in front of my computer.
Yes.
We have kind of a sunny lobby in one area of our office, which is a great place to go sit. Sunshine coming in through windows. It's not a clinical area. No computer staring in your face. No phone. It's your lunch break. Let it be your lunch break.
Yes.
When we talk about
that's
one
huge.
of the real basic practices in mindfulness is, those are what and how skills. And one of the how skills is one mindfully. So when you're eating lunch, just eat your lunch.
Yeah.
Don't eat lunch and send emails and send texts.
Right.
You're not doing any of those well.
Yeah.
You have this fractured attention.
They're always on their phone while they're eating.
Well, they're really important people. It's really amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm pretty good because I like to get the street tacos, and
Sure.
It's funny because I purposely have gotten very mindful about not using my phone.
Yeah.
Just leave my phone alone, and so
Yeah.
I love people watching and talking smack about, like in my head, making up stories about people.
That's why I don't like to hang out with him, but I know he's watching.
That's so
Smack talking.
I love that so much. But and half the time I'm like talking so much smack, I often will be like, wait, did I say that out loud? But it's kind of nice because I'm like looking at buildings and looking at the architecture, and I'm looking at people and looking at the kind of the characters in their face.
Oh, sure.
And
Well, you really take it in.
yeah. And otherwise, if you just do this while you're eating, you're trying to read your emails, you just
Like your poor neck.
yes.
Poor neck. We're doing so much of this
Yeah.
these days that poor neck needs to be stretched.
Povero neck.
Yes, poor neck.
Yeah.
Mm.
Mono povero bambina malata.
Beepity bop boop. That's Italian. Sorry, Gina. Don't tell your dad. So, I do a couple of things that come to mind while we're talking about this. I was just thinking again, backing up a little bit to my former, mindless pizza binging, which by the way would be at least 3 times a week. I mean, I wasn't even talking about once a week. This is like 3 times a week.
Right.
Okay, and that didn't leave me feeling all that great or healthy or fit. And there was there definitely had to be the whole salt, fat, monosodium, MSG,
Right.
triad attacking me at that point. But again, I think the two things that really helped me were, one, just paying attention. My body was talking to me, this isn't right and good. Even though the brain was saying like, just dull everything, just anesthetize, and you can do this with pizza. Nobody's going to judge you for it. It's not like you're not doing crack or heroin or whatever, but it's still an addiction. It's still mindless, and so but mindfulness was a nice antidote for that. To think about more, being aware that here comes that impulse, and so I think I'm going to slow down and watch my television thing, because I didn't do that really before anyway. It was again kind of a dark period, sort of just zoning out. So I'm going to change that, and then I think I'll start cooking a little bit more, and that helped. And then another thing that helped too, and not to make this a religious thing, but one of the things that happens in different faith traditions, one of the things I got to be a recipient of, which I think is a form of mindfulness for food, was Orthodox Church. We fast on Wednesdays and Fridays. It's a vegan fast most of the year, and then we have our Lenten fast for 40 days. Is also if you go ideal, if you're able to do it and you're healthy enough and all that, you're striving for a vegan diet for 40 days, and that really changes your relationship to food. It's not a punishment, right, but it's a way to kind of slow you down. There's definitely a spiritual element to it, and very purposeful in those sorts of ways. But it's also you kind of gaining control and mastery over your body, and taking care of the vehicle that your soul moves around in and that kind of thing. And so, to the vegetarians and vegans out there, I commend you, because I'd say another thing that has really changed in the way that we relate to food or don't relate to food. Not only has our the quality or the genetic, I don't know, is nature the right word?
Yeah.
The genetics of our wheat is different. So we're not eating the same bread that Jesus did, as you said, or even the same bread that people were eating 100 years ago.
Yeah.
It's very different. And so our modifications for efficiency are the things that make us sick. And then we're doing the same thing to animals. And so I know there's some folks out there might think I sound like a left-wing wacko over here. But as a flexitarian and as an American, I think, it's something I've been thinking about more is, some of the things that I admire about the vegans and vegetarians, and they do that for various reasons. Some of it's health, but some of it's also just for, humane treatment of animals. We don't even grow our animals the way we did 100 years ago, or hunt them, necessity, or where there's sort of a fair, playing ground. We've got them all kind of penned up in these really unhealthy and unsanitary situations. We're pumping them full of antibiotics. We're overbreeding them. We're we're putting in them psychologically distressing situations. And I think there's probably something to it. Hopefully this doesn't sound too woo-woo, but with the kind of trauma that those animals experience and whatever that's doing to them, maybe possibly even on like a molecular level, that I'm going to eat that and then support this kind of horror show. Something for me to think about.
Yeah.
It's one thing to have maybe a free-range chicken for dinner. Or maybe even an animal that I've, chased through the woods for a few days, and it will feed my family or tribe or something like that. But
well,
I think we're probably always making ourselves sick, even the way that we raise our meat.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, it's very, very inflammatory. There's a good book. I gotta buy this book, but it's something like "What We Eat, What We Friend, and What We Wear." And so it delineates the difference of like, why can I wear this animal? Like you'd wear a cow as a jacket or shoes, but no one would wear a dog as dog skin, right? Mm-hmm. And so like I can wear snake boots or I can wear alligator boots, but you wouldn't have an alligator as a pet, but you can have a dog as a pet, you can have a cat as a pet. But and it's really interesting because like how did we figure out what we can wear versus what we can friend versus what we can eat? And it's very interesting because it's not shared in all countries. Yeah. But most of the practices that we have today, like if you substituted a dog and they were picking up a dog with a crane and just throwing it in its meat grinder, like, no, we wouldn't tolerate that. Mm-hmm. But it's like we think of a cow as a different way. It's just like it's different. Yeah. But I don't, I eat just like I don't get into too much of that, although I think it's pretty horrific. But the inflammatory part, we've gotten really good at just kind of putting a bunch of animals in little spaces, feeding them a bunch of corn, which is very inflammatory. Then we eat that inflammation, and then we have chronic inflammatory problems. And that's a huge, huge problem. Yeah, so even from probably a self-interest point of view, it's something for all of us to probably think about in terms of how we eat mindfully. Yeah. So here's one of the things, I want to go through this list too. So this is mindful or mindless eating versus mindful eating. Or even like diet versus mindful eating. So what we do all the time is with patients is like, we don't want to diet, we don't want to do a quick fix, we don't want to do this nonsense. It's just what are the healthiest, happiest, longest living populations do? And it's very mindful eating, it's very purposeful living, And so one of this things is so mindless, which you talked about too, eating past full and ignoring your body signals. Right. So most people don't know that if you eat till you're full, it takes 20 minutes for that signal to get to your brain to say we're satiated. Right. So most people eat for 20 minutes longer than they really do. Mm-hmm. So the mindful way is to, and that's shared among all the healthiest, longest living populations, called 80-20 rule, is really just eat to where you're not hungry, don't eat till you're full. Right. And that's what I've really found amazing, because I used to be able to eat tons and tons and tons and tons of food. And then I'd be full, and I'd be like, I'm getting my money's worth. But the buffet style. Once I started doing mindful eating, especially this summer, I realized I could eat a cucumber and not be hungry anymore. And then later I might eat a handful of cashews. And And so I might eat like 4, 5, 6 times a day, but it's just like a little this, little that, and it's all crazy super healthy. And this is a big one, eating when your emotions tell us to eat, which is sad, bored, lonely. I think we've all used to be a part of that.
Yeah.
And really, I like the idea of changing that voice in your head or the dialogue that you have to purposeful. So it's like, well, I did really good. I walked today, so I deserve to have a candy bar. I deserve to have this. I went and worked out, so I need a Gatorade. Like, I used to have all the same things. We all do.
Yeah.
But then I switched it up and said, you know what? I deserve to feel good today.
Yeah.
Like, especially when you get to the point where, like, if you eat something, it, like, brain fogs, depresses. You're just like, I would go from, like, man, I'm going to kick ass today. I'm going to get so much stuff done. I'm going to get ahead maybe. And then I'd eat, and I'd be like, I just need to take a nap. And it's crazy.
Right, yeah.
So I had to change that in my head to be like, no, I deserve to feel good. I deserve to have energy.
Yeah.
And that dialogue, like I quit fast food. I quit all soda. I quit all processed stuff. And so, like, this whole last 5 months, like, I really had to change because it would be like, I can have this. But it would be like, no, I'm going to stop at a grocery store and I'm going to pick up some sushi. Or I'm going to stop at a grocery store and I'm going to pick up, like a
couple zucchinis, right, in the spiralizer,
couple peaches or something.
Oh,
and so my fast food changed to just purposeful, real, actual food.
Right.
Yeah. But I had to be very mindful of that. I had to change that dialogue, and especially the accountability part was huge, because again, I wasn't accountable to anyone. Most of us not. I mean, we eat alone, so it's just like nobody knows. But they look at you and they go, yeah, you're not fooling anybody.
That's right.
Wasn't fooling anybody.
Yeah.
So now when people see me now, they're just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
What have you been doing?
I've been doing what I've been telling you to do.
That's right. I've been living my own.
Yay, Dr. G.
Yeah. So that's what you want.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh.
Eating.
Could I just say one thing about this before we move? Number 2, eating when the emotions tell us to eat, the mindless eating, versus eating when our bodies tell us to eat. So the stomach's growling. I will say that was the interesting thing to me. It was kind of an epiphany when I got away from that mindless pizza eating thing. And that's a stand-in for other unhealthy habits, wasn't just the pizza. But to experience hunger again, right? I was like, oh, wow. I don't remember the last time I was actually physically hungry. And I thought, that's cool because I am supposed to feel hungry. Right. Something's working, systems are getting normal again. Yeah. So it's okay to be hungry, America. It's okay to be hungry. Yeah, it's okay to be uncomfortable and lean into that and be like, okay. Yeah. And what happens too, what's interesting is when you have that hunger growling, like your stomach muscles are kind of tightening and everything just kind of narrows up. Yeah. Which is pretty good because most people are always bloated. So you're like, I feel pretty good. Okay, thank you. Eating alone, random times, places, versus eating with others at set time and places. Like it's kind of like never drink alone, try to, stay out with people. Yeah. I think that's good. That's where that, most Americans just, they're alone when they eat all the time. Eating foods that are emotionally comfortable versus nutritionally healthy. Zucchini versus the pizza. Right. Like I eat to feel good. I eat to have a better memory. I eat to have more brain function. I eat to sleep better. Versus veggie pizza. Gluten-free, dairy-free veggie pizza. Where's the case of morphine in that? You don't need it if you're just emotionally happy. Okay. I'll keep working on that. I did ride my bike over tonight. You did? Yeah. And I tried to steal his bike when he wasn't looking. He did. I turned around and my bike was melting into his office building. Relieved it was him. I thought it'd be hilarious. You were over there like a half a second. On your phone. I was just like slowly moving the bike in the office. Yeah. Eating and multitasking. So we talked about that. So when eating, eat. Right. That's it. Because there is no, like Holly used to say this all the time, there's no such thing as being good multitaskers. There's not. All you are is a multi-switcher. You're taking time away from this to then devote to this and taking time. So you're kind of half-assing everything. You're like, oh, I got a bunch of half-ass stuff done, but how about you don't know that you're doing it. Right, you're task switching. That's what you're doing. That's what it's called. Yeah. So when you're interviewing for a job, and they ask if you're a good multitasker, just go ahead and say yes, even though it's, we're in the know, it's not a real thing.
I can check my email, text, and eat at the same time.
Yeah, you want to watch? You want to join me? We can have a conversation while I text, eat, and email. And can I phone and text and Facebook all at once?
You should prove it during the interview. Just be on your phone during the interview. And be like,
hey,
I got leadership skills.
Yeah, check it out. I'm Googling leadership skills right now. Wait, I need some interview skills too. Siri, how am I doing, Siri?
That's right.
I don't think you get the job. Okay.
And the last thing, though, is consider a meal in product, which is the mindless, but considering where food comes from, and that's what you were talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. This comes from the earth. I mean, when I eat, I'm being sustained by the earth I'm standing on. That is amazing. There's even a kind of a sense of like, a couple weeks ago when we were talking, part of mindfulness and my experience and my hope as I share it with others is that we're creating space for awe and wonder and connection with beauty. And that's some of it right there. I'm eating spinach. Where's it come from? And, we still could debate if it came from some dubious chemically soaked farm, but the idea on the whole is, particularly if you take up gardening, and I know a lot of folks are really skilled gardeners, are really great at that kind of thing, it's amazing. And I think that food it tastes better. We all know that. Kansas, one of the things I missed about Kansas when I would move away for short periods of time was summertime homegrown tomatoes.
Yeah.
They're so dark and rich, and had such great soil around here, and I love that so many people grow those, and I love that so many people grow too many that they have to share them with me.
That's right. Well, I love patients who bring me stuff. I'm so happy when they do that. Okay, so I hope that helps you guys, and it's a journey, it's purpose over perfection. So one of the things that keeps coming up, and I think you mentioned this too, with really the idea of like mindfulness, whether it's eating or just life, is non-judgmental. It is okay to be sad. It's okay to be lonely. It's okay to experience life in different ways and lean into that and be okay. But it doesn't mean you have to cope with food. It doesn't mean you have to somehow artificially be like, I should be happy all the time.
Yeah.
No, sometimes you should be sad.
I was looking through there for a potential quote. Let me just see if I've got anything here.
You didn't make any really great quotes from philosophical giants this time.
Oh, right. I know.
Yeah.
I may have given those away. Let's see if I did.
Well, we did talk about one concept that you were...
Okay. And this will be familiar to some of you.
All right.
Yeah. Well, those of you who do the wise mind stuff, and then they're kicking the table again. Okay.
Blue wafflers.
Blue wafflers. Wise mind.
Wise mind, yo.
Wise mind.
Representing wise mind. Blue
wise mind, a good life.
Sunshine Mafia.
Sunshine Mafia for sure. Okay. I think this will apply. But just a couple of quotes from the German poet Rilke, who showed.
You know what my favorite quote from him is? Ach, statt der Dolphin sprechen the Hausen.
Something talking to houses?
No, it's made up.
Okay. See, and here I am. I'm going to translate made-up German. That's how good he is. Okay. And how poor German I am. Okay. But with respect to difficult emotions and those sorts of things, from his book, Letters to a Young Poet, he's writing with a sort of psychological astuteness that it's okay to feel some of these discomforts and uneasinesses in life. And he writes, why do you want to shut out of your life any uneasiness, any misery, any depression? And this is before we had our gluten problem, way before that. Since after all, you don't know what work these conditions are doing inside of you. Why do you want to persecute yourself with the question of where all of this is coming from and where all of this is going? Since you know, after all, that you are in the midst of transitions, and you wished for nothing so much as to change, if there's anything unhealthy in your reactions, just bear in mind that sickness is the means by which an organism frees itself from what is alien. So one must simply help it to be sick, to have its whole sickness, and to break out with it, since that is the way it gets better. But anyway, it's just a part of part of nature. I mean, it's just, if there's going to be change, it's uncomfortable. There will be moments of uneasiness, and it's okay. It's all right. Yeah. It's not a catastrophe. And what do we want to do, Patrick, when we're having those experiences?
Lean into it.
Lean into it, bro. Yeah, we want to lean into it. We learn from that. We grow from that. And also, when we're open to those experiences, we rather than anesthetizing with yucky food or other behaviors, we can learn new strength and resilience, and we grow when we encounter stress with that kind of openness versus that catastrophic, oh no, I can't handle it kind of attitude, and then run to the thing that areas it. And I can tell you, I know this not only from studying, from working with patients, but because I myself have field tested all of these things and still dabble occasionally.
Yeah,
we're all in process. We're all progress, working all that good stuff. Yeah.
We're all working progress. Is that the Carol from your party?
There's Carol Farrow.
Carol Farrow.
Hi, Carol. I know it's a fun name to say.
That's like a tongue twister almost.
It is.
Carol Farrow.
Carol Farrow.
Carol Farrow.
If she can hear us, I hope you're enjoying us.
Is she from Mia Farrow?
I don't know if they're related, but you could ask.
All right.
Okay.
So,
lots of people here tonight.
Lots of good stuff.
I don't know. We're stumping them, or they're just, maybe it's just, is there something happening in the lunar or something? Or?
I don't know. We've never had
they're all full of gluten.
I think so.
I shouldn't accuse you of that.
So feel free to post stuff even after we're done here. Yeah. We have a few kind of questions, content stuff. But really, I want to kind of know where you guys are at in the journey, what you found really meaningful about this too, Again, I'm on the same journey as you are on. Scott's on the same journey.
Yep.
And what's amazing is, like, I think this is the thing that really changed my. I think this is when I fell in love with some of the leaders. Was used to when I was younger, the leaders that I had were just like, I'm infallible and I have it all figured out, and I was just like, wow. And then you're like, no, they don't, and you're just like, oh, you're a piece of crap, like, hypocrite. But I love the idea of like coming from a fallible place of like, man, your leaders are on the same freaking journey you're on, because we don't have it all figured out, and we suffer through the same things.
Go ahead.
Oh, and you said may I instead of can. Somebody paid attention in school.
Hello.
Yes, you may.
Well, thank you, sir. Rilke, one more time. Rilke, our German poet friend.
Okay.
He went on to say this, which I think is great, because I shared it with my patients today at the methadone clinic at Wichita Treatment Center. As we talk about, here's this advice, hey, experience all these difficulties. See what they can teach you. See what they open up inside of you and how they tenderize you. And he says to the guy he's writing to, do not assume that he who seeks to comfort you now lives untroubled among the simple and quiet words that sometimes do you good. His life may also have much sadness and difficulty that remains far beyond yours. Were it otherwise, he would never have been able to find these words. And down here in bold, I put your counselor, for example, or perhaps your doctor. So
I love that.
We can identify with a lot of these struggles and problems, and just in the same boat.
I think that helps.
I hope. Yeah.
Everybody's imperfect. Everybody's struggling. But again, it's not the situation. It's how you deal with that situation.
Yeah.
So just like with the pizza thing, I mean, you used to like, man, get crazy and frustrated. You're behind. It's just like, screw it. I'll just have a soda and a pizza. And then now my brain does not even think that way.
And my pants don't hurt anymore.
Yeah, my pants.
They're not killing you.
Yeah. And you don't have Dunlap disease.
I don't even know what that is.
Or Dicky-Doo.
Oh my God, what are we talking about?
Dunlap? Like your belly Dunlapped over your belt?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I had an embarrassing moment that after the pizza chapter where I tried to climb up in the back of a pickup truck, but I had to like roll into it, and it was really sad because before that I've been pretty athletic. I was like, I'm gonna bound up in there. I'm like, oh, I couldn't, and I roll, and then my my cousin, who's probably 6 years older than me, he looked at me and he said, "You need to lose some weight." And I was like, oh, you're so right. And where to begin?
Extra American.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
All right, so next week, our topic is, I don't know. So I want you guys' thoughts on what we should talk about for maybe the next couple of visits, like really give some insight of really what's important. Things that we may have covered, like I've covered in several different ways, which I like, but really what's important to you guys, what do you guys want to talk about, what do you want to hear about? And then I really want to thank Scott for joining us. And this is your second time.
Thanks for having me again.
Pretty sure we'll have Scott on a few more times.
I'd love to come back.
You didn't even get all like super, like in our Mindful Wise Minders, man, you're always like just quoting the hell out of the great philosophers. And I feel like it's good because I love being in situations where I'm not the one that knows everything. Like I don't know crap what's going on. Like I really like it.
Okay, great.
Like I feel like I'm being taught finally, and like I can just be this passenger in this process.
When I come back, I'll be loaded up. I'll try to baffle you.
I'll make up quotes, and you have to decide what are made up quotes.
You speak in German, and I won't know the difference.
Last night, I told a girl, "Le Marseillaise pour Roger de Lille," right? But all it is French national anthem. Like some of that.
Oh, really? Okay.
So it's ridiculous.
Wow. Okay.
So
you're so romantic.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for having me. It was great to be here. I hope you will all, be mindful out there. And again, maybe in the comment section, if it's of interest to all of you, I'll maybe post a couple of links that can take you to resources on mindful eating and just mindfulness in general. And
Oh, next week there isn't a show because it's Halloween. All Hallows Eve.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
So
a couple years ago we did a big prank and it was pretty scary.
Oh, that's right. I'll have to watch
the
archive.
Oh, I had to take it down because it was
wow.
It was too controversial.
Oh man.
But it was awesome. So I had to figure out something else. Well, thank you guys for joining us. We're all in the same journey.
Yeah.
And please share, like the video. I appreciate you guys being a part of this. And really, I love you guys, and I thank you guys for being here. So,
yeah, likewise.
Thank you for being here, too. All right. Bye, Wise Minders.
Bye-bye.